Hello everyone and welcome to Made by Boo. My name is Shannon and I actually have some finished objects this week. So most of the time I'm talking about knitting and crochet, which is really pretty much all I have today. I'm hoping to get some cross stitch going again soon and maybe a little sewing, but it's usually knitting and crochet. Happy New Year to everybody. I am filming on January 1st, a little bit outside of Boise, Idaho, and I'm just going to go ahead and dive right into it. So the first finished object I have is actually the shirt I'm wearing. Don't know if you can really see much. My view screen has recently broken, but this is the Panopeia pattern from Expression Fiber Arts. I will link it down below. And I knit it using Expression Fiber Arts Luster Sport. It's a 50% superwash merino wool, 50% lyocell in the color Silvery Seas. It took me 4 of these to make it. I am really happy with how it came out. I probably could have gone like a size smaller than I did. It's definitely kind of a little loose, but not like in a desperately bad way. And I was a little worried about the length as I was making it, thinking that I may need to extend the length because I do tend to need to make things a little bit longer. But it actually falls a little bit below my hips, so it feels like it would actually be really comfortable to wear with like leggings if I wanted to make something look just a little bit cuter but also be super comfortable. So I'm very excited to be finished with it, and I'm hoping that it is the start of a trend of me finishing some of these long-term projects I've had going. I actually have 2 more finished objects. The next one to show is, well, they're both pairs of socks. This next one is from the Cozy Knitter. It is the 2023 Advent 24 Stripe Skein. And I was very proud of myself. I wanted to finish these on Christmas Eve and wear them on Christmas morning. And not only did I finish them on Christmas Eve, I finished them early enough to block them and then wear them on Christmas morning. So I was very happy about that. The other thing that I really liked, I loved the pattern. There was a few times where I almost gave up on doing 1 stripe a day because some of these colors were so similar. I wasn't 100% sure where each stripe ended, particularly in the blues and greens. But once it got down to here, it was fine. And then the skein came with enough to do another entire pair of socks with 24 stripes. So I have it set aside. At some point here you will see this yarn again because I'm planning on making the other pair for my mother, who I feel like would just really like this. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to work on right away, except that I was pretty sure I did not want to do the exact same pattern right away. And the other one I have finished. So these are another pair of socks. The yarn is from Little Bloom Yarn, and the color is Practical Magic. And these ones, as you can kind of tell, I have not worn yet. I just finished them a couple of days ago, blocked them, and knowing I was going to film, I just kept them on the blockers. Though not anymore. And I am definitely going to be wearing these next week. I absolutely love how they came out. Not a lot to say about the pattern on either of them. Both of the patterns was just vanilla socks. I knit the Advent socks on double pointed needles and the Practical Magic socks on Magic Loop. I only recently taught myself Magic Loop in this past year, and I'm actually really loving it. It's about half of my sock projects now, so that's a fun little change. That's all my finished objects. Let me just scoot my current works in progress over just a little bit. I only have 2 works in progress that have enough progress to feel like I should show them. I am going to be trying to work through finishing my big long-term projects. This was one of them, and I've kind of decided that I'm just going to focus on one of them as a finished project, but I can't make it the only thing I work on. That's not how I work. So the first one is another pair of socks. It is from Potions and Pearls. And the color here is Love Potion. So it has the pink and the black. I just did a little pop of color there, very similar to what I did here. And then I'm planning on doing the heel in the pink as well, but probably not the toe. I haven't totally decided yet. These socks are actually for my daughter. I just started them a couple of days ago. And I've gotten 10, 20, 30, 40 rows on the leg. I'm going to go up to 60 because she tends to like her socks just a little bit taller. I don't actually make a lot of tall socks, so I'm a little nervous as to how tall I could make them and still complete both pairs of socks. So I'm going for 60. I think I'll still have plenty of yarn after that. I might even be able to get up to 70, but I don't want to push it too hard. I've never really been making super tall socks kind of person, but I mean, I had a decent amount of this one left, so who knows. So yeah, it's just a simple vanilla sock. I'm thinking maybe a heel flap and gusset, probably a rounded toe. Trying to finish these as soon as possible. I started them just because I wanted a pair of socks and I thought the yarn was pretty, and then my child saw me getting started on them and commented how perfect they were, and they're going to be her socks now. I'll get into a little bit more why as we talk about life stuff, but as I just scoot along here, I don't want to interrupt myself too much. So the last work in progress here is using my advent calendar from Ramblin' Needles. So this was from just this past year, 2023, and it is a psych themed advent calendar. And ooh, I do have to take a second and show off the bag. I know I don't always talk about the bags. So inside here I have the bags that it came with, but this bag was actually made for me by my child. I mean, the bag itself came from Joann's, but the little wattles patch was embroidered by my child. So it makes a fun project bag. Anyway, so Ramblin' Needles yarn. This is the main skein. It is called Psych the Musical, and I am doing the Crochet Advent Baby Blanket. Let me double check the pattern name. I'm a little all over the place right now, apparently. Yeah, Crochet Advent Baby Blanket by Lucienne Crochet. This is going to be for my husband. So I'm not very far on it yet. I've got my cast on first color and second color gone. I am a little bit concerned as to whether or not this blanket is going to be as big as it says it's going to be. Like, doing the math, I don't have a lot left of either color because I was going to try to do longer stripes of each one just to give it a little more length. But when I did the math based on 2 stripes, it's looking at being like only 3 feet long, which, I mean, I'm looking at a lap blanket, so maybe that's fine, but I have some concerns going into it. Not enough of a concern to just like stop working on it. But yeah, it's going to be just a lap blanket for my husband to put at his desk. It's winter here in Idaho, and our downstairs does tend to get very, very cold. So it's just that little bit of thing where he can throw it over his shoulders, throw it on his lap, whatever. And he happens to love the show Psych. So it just seemed like a fun way of using this advent calendar. When I ordered it, I kind of knew I'd make something for him, but I didn't really know what. So this is just me finding the what. All right, I definitely feel like I'm just zooming through all of this. Hopefully I'm speaking at a speed where everybody can understand me still. So I didn't really have a lot exciting to say about most of my works in progress, mostly because, I mean, a vanilla sock and a blanket that I'm concerned on the length of. I mean, I guess technically I could always add other stripes into it at the end. I do have some acquisitions, and I even have some life stuff to share, so let me slow down, calm down. My acquisitions, so I don't have a ton of them. I have a couple left over from my FanGirl Fibers 4 weeks of Doctor Who socks advent. So it was 4 sets. Last time I filmed, I shared the 2 that I had opened. It's definitely been past when anybody should have opened them, so nothing I have here should be spoilers. This was from, I think, the 3rd week, and it was the Snowmen. And then the other one that came in that set, I believe, was week 4, and it was the Time of the Doctor. I've definitely accumulated a lot of sock sets. I'm trying to tell myself that I should not get any more sock sets for a while and just shop the stash. Not exactly like yarn buying ban, but I'm gonna try to just go from what I have first versus ordering new stuff first. But we'll see when exciting things are coming out. A lot of people are releasing their year-long subscriptions, and there's been a couple of tempting ones, but I already have a few. So the other thing I have right here is the Christmas Eve cast-on that was from FanGirl Fibers. It came with a Grinch bag, because the theme was Grinch. This bag will probably just be put away until next year. I don't really have a desire to have a Merry Christmas Grinch bag now that it's January. And then the colors here were Stink, Stank, Stunk, and Whoville. As you can see, I did not do the Christmas Eve cast on. The pattern that came with it, I liked it fine enough. But I wasn't sure I really wanted to work on it right then. I wasn't passionate about it. I wasn't really excited about it that night. I had other things I was working on. I thought about doing a different pattern with it, but I just really decided I was not passionate about anything to make with these socks right now. So I will put them away until I am. I mean, they're not overly Christmassy color, even Grinch themed. But maybe I will pull them out next year, and that is when I'll finally make something with it. Maybe not. But for right now, I'm going to wait until I'm a little more excited about it. The pattern was really pretty. It had like hearts on it, and to go with the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes. I decided I just wasn't excited about it. It was kind of strange. So the last acquisition I have is the last in the year-long club from Muse 2320. It was their Troop 2320 subscription set. I did the entire year. And the last one is Ice Fishing in the Backwaters. I really, really like this color. I have not actually worked up any of the colors from this one, which is one of the reasons why I had decided I was not going to do another club from them this year. When the year ended, it was like, if she releases another one, I'm not going to do another one because I haven't used them. I love her colors, I love her yarn, but I haven't used it. Let me work through some of that. When she released her theme, it was a little hard to stick to my guns because her theme was sci-fiber, which I just absolutely loved the whole idea of that. But I'm hoping that if any of the colors are actually sci-fi that I have enjoyed, that I will be able to get that individual color, because I know I do not need another year of sock sets coming every month that I just don't have time to work up, especially since while I'm trying to work down on stuff a little bit, you know, I want these beautiful yarns to be used, but I also I want to leave room for things that I see and I want. So If I'm not, I don't need another mystery one. I am saying it at least as much to convince myself as anyone else. So I'm going to try to work through some of last year's stuff this year and then see where I end up. And hopefully, if she had, again, hopefully if some of the sci-fi ones are the ones that I like, I'll have an opportunity to get those. I do like science fiction, but I'm not like super into science fiction, so I do kind of suspect that a lot of the month-to-month ones will be things that I have heard of but just don't care that much about. But it doesn't mean that she won't hit on the little bit of science fiction that I actually do like. And no matter what, I love the name that she came up with of Sci-Fiber. It was amazing. And that in and of itself made me kind of want to break my resolve and sign up for another year. But beautiful yarn is meant to be used. The dyers do not dye it with the intention that it'll sit in my stash forever. So I need to let it out into the world and let it become something. So that's my acquisitions. Nothing really exciting. I shouldn't say nothing really exciting. Each of them are exciting in their own way, and each of them I'm excited to work up at different times. I've actually somewhat started to work through some of my sock sets. I'm getting a little sneaky about it because sometimes I am excited when I buy it, or it comes like, all three of these were mysteries. I had no idea what they were going to look like. And when it comes like that, sometimes I want to work it up right away. Other times, I don't know, I'll get to it eventually. When I picked this one, I actually picked out 4 different ones from my stash and I would be okay with working any of these. Put them on a table with 4 different bags that, you can't see through these. And asked one of my children, hey, can you just put each one in a bag, close it up, and then I will pick one at random. And my daughter even tried to make it harder for me to tell which one it was going to be because I did have a pink bag, and she intentionally did not put the pink yarn in the pink bag just to make sure that I had no hints at all what was in it, and it really was a mystery. But then she also confessed I did end up picking the one that she wanted me to, so that worked out. So yeah, that is all my acquisitions. Let me refresh my battery real quick here, and then I will get into some life over the last couple of weeks and some of my creative goals for the year. All right, so I'll do a little bit of life stuff that I've been doing the last couple of weeks, and then kind of end on goals. So obviously I did a little bit of work on some long-term projects that I've had. We had a absolutely lovely Christmas here. I did consider filming a week early, knowing that I was going to be a little busy this past weekend, but obviously I did not. Christmas weekend can always be a little bit busy anyways. I have 3 children. One of them is still kind of small, so that means that there's always little things like we have to make sure we do cookies for Santa, and we have to make sure our stockings are set up, and we want to make sure everything looks lovely and magical. We took some walks to see Christmas lights in our neighborhood. I'm not sure if there's a local neighborhood near us where you could like drive through and see excessive lights, but just a little bit of fresh air and the lights in the neighborhood were enough for us. The week after that was just kind of that in between Christmas and New Year's. Everybody knows that week is just kind of, it's a little bit of a wash, but it was also really busy at my work. Work with small children, and small children do not always know how to not spread germs. So we had a couple of nasty bugs going through the building, which always makes everything a little bit more chaotic. And a part of the reason I am filming a little bit off my normal schedule is it's a new year, thinking about trying a slightly different schedule for filming, but the main reason and the reason why these socks are for my child instead of for me, other than she asked, is I did get to take one of my children to see Six the Musical in Boise. So the reason why these socks became for my child is I was like just casting them on. I hadn't gotten very much. We were going to the show, that day, and I just commented, I was like, yeah, you know, I don't know a lot about the costuming, but this does kind of make me think of the costumes of the queens. Like, we hadn't even gone to see it, and she was like, yeah, pink happens to be the costume for Catherine Howard, which is weirdly the one my child was really, really excited to see the most. So, the official color of these socks from Potions and Pearls is Love Potion. These are her Catherine Howard socks. So we did have an amazing time. I mean, I live in Boise, so we do have actually quite a few plays that come through here and everything. I mean, it's a big area. But you don't necessarily expect to see the Broadway musical that you really want to, and Six happens to be my child's absolute favorite, so we were very happy to get tickets. It was just her and I. We went and saw Six and then went out to get sushi because that, you know, why not make a 15-year-old's weekend? And the show was absolutely amazing. Like, wonderful voices. They did a great performance. It was, if you have a chance to see it, I highly recommend. Unless, of course, you hate musicals, and then why would you bother? And then that was about all of the excitement. In spite of all the illness at work, my house has been very lucky where we've just gotten a couple of little colds, but nothing that's actually knocking us out yet. Really hoping it sticks that way, but I mean, when you're exposed to enough germs, eventually you're probably going to get it. But at the very least, it got me through the last week of the year and up to seeing the show with my child. If I get sick next week, cool, extra knitting time. So that was it for life stuff. I mean, seeing the show was really exciting. I have been finally getting some reading done again. As I mentioned before, I finally got around to A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Sue. I should know this off the top of my head. Yeah, Suzanne Collins. And then after that, I started rereading the Hunger Games series, so I am now on the second one, Catching Fire. That's about it with that. Ending here on some crafty goals, and a little bit show here. I'm going to try to shop from Stash a little more than shopping online, but I'm not sure I'm ever going to be a person who wants to have zero stash. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people who got to that zero stash point started as somebody that's like, well, I should really just use it, so who knows? Maybe in a couple of years you'll see me actually trying to go down to zero. But I buy so many of these yarns because I love them or because I have a specific plan for them. And I don't always have time to go through that with that plan. So I really want to work towards completing some of these projects. Like if I bought a sweater's quantity of yarn with a specific sweater in mind, I would really like to look at that and then decide, do I want to do that sweater? And if I'm going to, do it. And if I'm not going to, see if I have another use for that yarn, because otherwise it's just taking up space. Last year I did do some tracking of like yarn came in, yarn out, and somehow I thought it was going to be a little bit even. It definitely was not last year. And I definitely did lose a little bit of steam partway through the year where I would just kind of forget to write it down when it came in and then have to go back. And I made that a little easier because I stopped making myself write down what date I got it and just write down that you got it. It definitely was more yarn in than yarn out, and I may try to keep that up this next year just to kind of keep an idea of, am I just buying faster than I can work? And if so, what can I do about that? Can I work faster? Can I buy less? Or can I send some of the yarn that I have off into the universe? Because all are acceptable options. I mean, other than that, the only creative goal I think I really have at this point is I want to work through some big projects because there's other big projects I want to start on. I have really wanted to make a lot of blankets lately. I've wanted to make a scrappy granny stripe blanket for like a year, and I haven't started on it. And at first it was just one of those where, I mean, to be fair, it was watching Nitty Natty's Vlogmas from 2022 that kind of made me want to, but hers was like a bed-sized granny stripe that I think she was working on for like 5 years. And so I kept telling myself, well, work on all these other things first before you start a 5-year project. But it doesn't have to be a 5-year project. It can be a lap-size blanket. I kind of want to make a few more shawls. I have some really soft yarn that I bought sweater quantities of that I haven't made sweaters for myself out of. So I do want to work on some other big projects, but I also have 3 shawls already going and a couple of blankets that I'm trying to organize and work through some of these big ones instead of just starting more big ones. I did start the big blanket for my husband, but that was kind of a reward for finishing like 3 big projects and a work on varying some of what I have, because if I have a whole bunch of finger weight knitting, like the exact same motion on my fingers starts to hurt. So it was like, okay, well, a crochet project will add some variation to that. And it fit perfectly in the bag my daughter made. I'm going to try not to make too many goals for things that I want to make or anything like that, because the biggest goal that I have this year, and some of it is, of course, not buying excessive amounts or working through what I have, finishing projects I've started. Like, those are all technical goals whether I say them or not. If I buy the yarn, I intend to use it. If I start the project, I intend to finish it. But it's also just, I really want to make what makes me happy this year, and if it's not making me happy, I want to find a way to not feel like I have to make it. For some people that might be easy, but for me there's always that, yeah, well, you started this project, you should finish it. And sometimes that's true because I do still want the finished product, but if I don't care, maybe I don't need to finish it, and that needs to be okay as well. So that's all for me. I am hoping to be able to keep going with this over this next year. I've now been doing this for 1 year because I actually started on New Year's last year. I'm working on getting better thumbnails. I might need to get better at taking notes too, so that I do not start it and ramble on, but I think we have to accept that the ramble will always be a part of me doing this. My husband actually got me a new microphone for Christmas, so I'm hoping that that will actually start working. I don't think it's really been working today, so you may not see much of a sound quality difference here. And I'm also thinking about experimenting with when these come out. So I've been doing them on Sundays for the entire last year. This year I'm recording on a Monday today. Mondays will not be a good recording day for me regularly, but maybe I can record on Sunday and release it later in the week. So you may see me a little bit different for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be working on figuring out what works for me. I guess not the next couple of weeks, maybe the next couple of months, since I only do every other week. But I'm hoping to just keep having fun with my making and with this. So until next time, I hope you are also enjoying every bit of making you have.